All right, folks. Bound for Glory 2021 tickets are on sale now. We're going to start the show off with that. So step over to impactwrestling.com and Impact Wrestling on Twitter. That way you can get your tickets for what should be an amazing night. Today, myself and Miranda, we're going to talk about those big championship matches that's going to be happening on that night. So without further ado, let's get into this week's episode of our Impact Wrestling Hot Topic.
Big old bell, big old bell, big old bell, big old bell. All I really want is that big old bell, big old bell, big old bell, big old bell. All I really need is that big old bell, big old bell, big old bell, big old bell. All I really want is that big old bell, big old bell, big old bell, big old bell.
What's up, folks? That's your Miranda. We're back this week for our weekly Impact Wrestling Hot Topic. We've been gone for about a week. It's the life schedules. Admittedly, it's me covering a lot of different events happening on the weekends. So sometimes Fridays, I'm trying to get out of town or whatnot. So I'm sorry, folks. I'm sorry, but we're back this week, and we definitely have things to talk about. But before we get into it, Miranda, how are you today?
I'm doing really well. I saw a lot of your interviews on BigGoldBelt.com. So a big congratulations to all the work that you've been doing and the hustle out there, because they're really, really great. And so, not for nothing, ladies and gentlemen, it's we've been busy. Life keeps happening, and we're definitely trying our best. But this is a pretty good week to jump back into things.
Yes, it is. So as I started the show off saying, Impact Wrestling Bound for Glory 2021, their biggest pay-per-view of the year. Tickets are on sale now. And as I said that, I wanted to just check to make sure they weren't sold out. So I'm on Ticketmaster where you can get your tickets, and you can get 3-day passes. Let me actually see what these prices are. And when you get 3 days, that means you get you could be there for the tapings, the fallouts, which is pretty cool, because based on how Slammiversary went, you might not want to miss out on that. But let me just see what these ticket prices are, because actually before, things were just a set price because they were just trying to get people back in. Okay, cool. So you can get a 3-day package is $60, and I guess that's for general admission.
Not bad.
And then 3-day third row general admission is $99. So yeah, I think everything else might be sold out. If that's the case, I did see a few people tweet that they did get front row, and I was wondering what that was about. Oh, you can buy single day, you can buy 2-day package, and you can buy single days of the tapings as well. So I'm just going to just check really quickly what the Bound for Glory.
And it's going to be at Sam's Town, which is a venue that they've worked before. It's a venue that has been pretty synonymous with wrestling out in Las Vegas. So this is actually going to be the very first wrestling event that Sam's Town will host since March of 2020.
Front row sold out. Yeah, I'm just looking at the tweets and stuff. So front row is sold out. And if you just want to be in the building for standard admission, it's $30. So hey, this is
that's not bad.
Yeah, if you are a Vegas local, or if you are somebody that can make the trip, this is a no-brainer. You must attend. Beyond this, they got Tessa Blanchard here on the front of the promotional thing on Ticketmaster. Ticketmaster might want to update.
I was going to say, someone needs to update Ticketmaster, because they may be using some outdated promo pics. Next, we'll see Michael Elgin on there, and it's going to be like, ooh. They got the wrong pictures. They got the wrong pictures.
Okay, Miranda, let's get into today's topic. We got two big championship matches. Two matches that one has been predicted here. One that I know that we're going to go crazy for. And it's, to me, I'll talk about it when it's my chance. It's like a perfect storm because it's the I didn't know I wanted until I realized here it is. But
Yeah.
of the two matches, our Knockouts Championship match, Deonna Purrazzo versus Mickie James. And then for the Impact World Heavyweight Championship, you have Christian Cage versus Josh Alexander.
Yeah.
Of the two matches, which one are you most excited for and why?
I'd have to say I'm more excited for Josh Alexander versus Christian Cage. This has been something brewing that fans had been wanting to see, had been very excited about for Josh Alexander since he won the X Division Championship, and also since Christian Cage has won the world title. It makes sense. I did not think option C was going to be implemented, though, which I do love the callback to option C. It's one of the rare things about Impact. It's almost like the secret menu of Impact Wrestling. One of the things that is there but isn't talked about. It is,
Yeah.
commentary doesn't bring it up all the time, but it has a history. And I think it's one
Yeah.
of the more unique things about this promotion that you always have this middle belt. When you think about the greatest middle belts or mid card belts like the Intercontinental Championship and U.S. Championship, in MLW you have the open weight championship. You have certain belts that really are the predicate success in the next level. But Impact is one of the few promotions, if the only one, that allows you to cash in your X Division championship, in this case, vacate that in order to go for the world championship, which I think is such a unique aspect. And in this case, makes it feel that much stronger that Josh Alexander is that confident and he has defended that title in so many different matches and scrambles and, Ultimate X. Like he is retained that belt in ways that nobody thought he would. But now it's really on the line. He's vacated that in order to go for the big one. And I just feel like it makes it feel that much of a bigger fight feel.
So, two things I want to say really quick. One, I knew you want to pick this one because you've been pushing for Josh for a while. I love Josh.
Yes.
And Josh, when people talk about dream matches, Josh and a lot of people are dream matches for me. And this is a match that I didn't know I wanted,
Yes.
but here I am. And
Yep.
it's a perfect storm because
Mhm.
I can easily go back and say, I wish Swan was still the champion. I wish Moose had won the championship. I wish Sammy had a beat Kenny. I can make pictures for all of them. I also can say that I wish, somebody like Ace Austin could have been in this position as well too.
Yeah.
And it's just because I'm just fans of so many different talents here. But Josh is literally one of my favorite wrestlers, and in this in this building of getting to this point is underratedly something that I really, 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 really like. And
Yeah.
to kind of knock something you said about middle or that middle
Mid card. Yeah.
mid card, the X Division to me historically has been a middle card championship. But I would be lying if I didn't say that Josh held this championship as if it was the top elite.
Yeah.
So when the option
one
C thing
point,
came about,
yeah.
I was kind of like, I get it, but no, because I feel like the way how he's carrying the championship, he can draw people to come face him. I mean, he had the interaction with Kenny, and I wouldn't mind seeing that for the X Division. I'm sure Kenny and the X Division Championship has just always had the utmost respect. When you talk about the people who held it and some of the reigns that people have had with it, and even when you talk about the history and the building to some of these matches, this has always been to high regard. I mean, when we talked about the Ultimate X matches and all the people that held it in the past, you're just like, these are all top performers all over the world. and Josh is no different. Josh
Yeah.
holding it felt no different. It just felt like it felt like the top championship at times, and that has a lot
Yeah.
to do with what he did, you know. And as you said last week, when you talk about matches of the year, the before the Impact Iron Man match that he had,
Yes. It really was. But I also understand maybe why he felt he needed to do this because look, let's look at it at the end of the day. Two out of the four big championships within Impact have been held with people outside of Impact. The
yeah,
world title has been not within an Impact talent, since Kenny won it. And even same thing on and off with the tag titles. So it feels like people have had limited opportunities with those belts. I absolutely agree that I think he could have, fought for it, been a number one contender without vacating the X Division Championship. But I also understand where it's almost not an act of desperation, but just an act of sureness that he's giving up something that he's fought so hard for to get something bigger.
it,
And I think the fact that it is up against an Impact legend, just adds more oomph to it. Like I think
yeah.
it's just that much sureness that he has that he is going to win, that he's willing to vacate that X Division Championship to prove that he can, get the World Championship.
I think when some people have such good reigns, you just start to wonder, well, how do we transition from this? And
Hmm.
a good example in wrestling as of recent is Oscar in NXT going undefeated, and I'm just like, I would love to see Ember Moon beat her. I would love to see a bunch of people beat her. Just like, or she could just vacate it and go to the main roster, and we're happy here. And this is one of the cases where it's just like,
Yeah.
I want to see more Josh Alexander versus matches with this championship on the line, with whatever stipulations, whether it's on the Indies, whether it's in Impact. This is what I want to see. I like him being decorated. I like the fact of
Hmm.
the North being one of my favorite tag teams, that
Oh,
both parties are doing equally good in their respective, booking. But this Josh thing has been like top tier.
yes, I
And
mean you gotta look at it and seeing what has happened with Josh Alexander since the North split up, and his trajectory and his placement within the company has been just top level. They really do view him as the next big star.
yeah, but again, like, when Kenny Omega's in there and you're just seeing what happened to Rich Swann and so on, and you
Hmm.
see they had a little thing, you're just like, oh boy, I love the match I did, but how does this get booked? But
Yeah.
hey, if he vacates, or in other words, cashes in his championship for the better good of promotion,
Yes.
then it's fine. So the X Division reign is stellar. It's been
Yeah.
filled, and
And
that's what it
you
is.
look at the history of Option C too, and it has a very strong history of people cashing in and winning the world championship too.
I
So I
actually
feel
just
like
actually just looked at this too, and
yes, and I know
uh
the last time it was utilized, I think it was 2018 with Brian Cage and Sammy Callahan. And
yeah.
again, I think it's such a unique stipulation. It's one of those things. It's a secret menu item. It's not talked about all the time, but when it is, it's something special. And you make such a
Yeah.
good point where you kind of you could have had him as a double champion, but then that ends up being another challenge within the company where you do have you have to hold then two strong titles where by vacating the X Division Championship, that allows that division to continue and
Yeah.
have a new champion and crown someone and have that division grow while also hopefully bringing that championship back to Impact with the future, with the next person in line. And
Yeah.
it doesn't diminish or hurt Josh Alexander, and it allows for multiple things. So I understand why they went with option C in this because they have built him up to be such a strong contender. How in the world, outside of even if it is a multi-man match and a scramble or Ultimate X, as far as losing it or not, by not even getting pinned, I think this still allows him to be that strong character and champion. And again, I think also betting on himself to be. I think that's a huge part of this is his confidence level and betting on himself when maybe not a lot of other people did, to prove that he can beat a legend, one of the best that Impact has ever had.
I think to kind of add some extra context to that as well too is that again it seals the reign. So for
Mm-hmm.
everything he's built and done, it can't be tarnished now for
Yeah.
whatever reasons. And sometimes people have to lose in order to get to the next step. This is one
Yeah.
of the cases where you're just like, we're going to utilize the uniqueness of Impact Wrestling and bringing in something that you all may have forgot about in Option C.
Yeah.
And it works. So it provides fan service to the Impact fans, and it also means that you completely handled this story arc of his X Division run to a factor that keeps him strong, that keeps the
Mm-hmm.
championship prestigious, and it allows other people to step up. And I really love how that was done.
Yeah.
But yeah, Brian Cage did it in 2019, 2016, Eddie Edwards, 2015, Rockstar Spud, 2014, Austin Aries, 2013, Chris Sabin, 2012, Austin Aries. Only Austin Aries and Chris Sabin are the only ones to win in doing it. So
Oh,
I
wow.
I feel like this is a good indication of change here, and I wouldn't be mad.
Yeah.
But hey, let's talk about this really quick, and then let's talk about the women. Josh Alexander winning and being their champion is something that should happen. It's the biggest
Yeah.
show. Christian has done what he has needed to do, and he has bigger things, or should I say, other things to do in AEW. And I think I think this keeps the integrity of Impact. Like the fans, we're more comfortable with this one here
Yeah. I
instead of
feel
what
like,
happened in the past.
yeah, I feel like Christian Cage being able to win that title from Kenny Omega, did what I think a lot of fans wanted and to bring it closer to home. But at
It
the
was
end
a
of the
it was a
day,
it was a transition. He's a legend that was a transitional champion.
yeah.
This is essentially what Goldberg did like earlier. What was it, last year? I think with the Fiend and
Hmm.
Drew McIntyre, where it was like
Yeah.
you had to have somebody strong to beat the person, then you had to have somebody you was trying to build up. And this is what it happens
Yes.
to be is that you kept Kenny Omega strong. Christian Cage brought the integrity back to Impact. It was the
Yes.
logical person because of his history. And then him losing doesn't hurt him because he's still doing active stuff in AEW. And
Exactly.
it will be a respectable loss because they're two baby faces here.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
no one loses, essentially. It's going to be a good
No.
match. And
And
then
you
it will
really
still keep
do.
the integrity of the championship, the company, and your champion in order. So
And
it's
you
good.
essentially bring it back home. You are able to do
Home,
what,
home.
the championship is meant to do and elevate a newer star, a rising star, make, your top wrestlers look that much stronger. And it sets the stage for a whole new array of challengers. And Josh Alexander is he is the lethal weapon. Like he is a legit, just an amazing wrestler. And I think even then, his personality and character has grown to someone that you take very seriously. I think we always have. But, as a singles competitor, I think his reign in the X division really helped establish that, where you look at him as a much more viable competitor for the world championship now. So that's also a great play on long term storytelling. And going back to what you said, kind of what the X division has done now for years is set up these mid card competitors for the next step. And it's worked in really one of the best in all of pro wrestling. The X division has truly defined the future of pro wrestling, not just Impact, of pro wrestling.
Yes. So let me ask two quick questions really quick. Who's winning that match?
Oh, I have to say Josh Alexander. It just makes sense to, to hand over kind of the reins of Impact to him, to
Mhm.
have a new champion, to bring the championship back home. And it is, as you mentioned, a respectable loss for Christian Cage. This allows him to step back into AEW, or even if he stays in Impact for a little bit, allows him to kind of go into a different role. But to me, it makes sense, and I'm hoping that Josh Alexander wins.
All right. Who wins the X division
Oh
championship match.
man. So this one is interesting for me because I have a little bit of my own bias in here. But during Victory Road this past week, we had a five-way scramble. And I feel like that five-way scramble is a way kind of giving us a peek of maybe who's in the next contendership or who's in line for the exhibition championship. We had people like Black Taurus, Trey Miguel, John Schuyler, Laredo Kid. Oh, and there was a fifth one that I can't remember right now. But personally, who I think they're booking very strongly, consistently, and even's had a mini feud is I'm looking at that winner of that scramble, and that's Laredo Kid.
Yeah.
That may be my lucha bias coming out, but let's think about it. He's had a 3-match series with John Schuyler that he won just recently on Before the Impact. He won that 5-way scramble as well. And, he is that strong tie between Impact and AAA.
Yep.
So as we may talk a little bit about, right now, who's the AAA Reina de Reinas champion, what kind of good partnership would that look like if Laredo Kid won the exhibition championship? And when you look at, some of the other contenders that we've seen in the exhibition realm in the past year, I mean, we've seen, again, Ultimate X, multi-man matches, scrambles, whatever that may be, so I could see that you see people like Trey Miguel in the mix. Of course, John Schuyler has been someone that they've really been working on elevating as a great heel. Of course, you have people like TJP and Petey Williams, where he's always been in the peripheral. You have so many people that I feel like they're just going to go to that multi-man match route. But I think as far as who they've been building very strongly recently, who I think would make sense, and also is just my own bias, is Laredo Kid.
Okay, I can't argue there. Let's talk about the women's knockout championship match. Mickie James versus Deonna Purrazzo. This is the match that I predicted was going to happen at Slammiversary.
Yeah.
But after how Slammiversary happened, I knew this was happening very soon. And here we are. This makes sense because when you talk about everything that Mickie James means to Impact Wrestling, everything that she means to women's wrestling today, and just all professional wrestling, but specifically women's wrestling today, why not have one of the best in the world versus one of the greatest to ever do it?
Yeah.
Deonna Purrazzo has been having the best year of her career.
Yeah.
And this is really a formidable threat to her reign, to a point that we haven't got to a point where we can actually say she may actually lose this, because a lot of the other bookings didn't make sense for her to lose. Thunder Rosa is a very fantastic talent, but not a chance. When we talked about the AAA match, it wasn't going to happen there either, because as I said, you have to keep her strong to go down there to win. That's the thing. You can't have her lose beforehand, and you can't have her win. You can't have her win to lose. You have to have her win to win. And everything she's been doing, independence and Impact Wrestling, it was always about who was the next person. She cleaned the women's division. So you had to bring somebody in who meant something to the company, who has held that championship, who could be a legitimate threat. The only other threat that this could have been retired.
Yeah.
Recently. Retired. Which the way how they booked that at NWA Empower with Awesome Kong and retiring with Gail Kim, I mean, you could have implanted that same story inside of the ring with Deonna Purrazzo. But considering that those two are friends, considering that she had to go out in the way she wanted to go out, it did not need to be intertwined with a story. Therefore, you just have to remove every bit of personal feeling and booking about the potential of who could beat Deonna, which now again brings Mickie James back up to tap to being the person that had built story over the last few months, that have done a lot of work into promotional, and now here we are. This match is the match to watch out for, because for the first time in Deonna's second reign, this is the one that I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you have to think about it too, because then it's what's next. And really, when you think about everybody, that's left on the roster, that's within the company, that's out just in the independent scene. Who is truly someone that she could have a long term feud with. And this feud with Mickey James has, shown that she needs someone a little bit more long term to carry through because she's already gone through everybody. She truly has gone through so many competitors within Impact and, outside of Impact that
Yeah.
you kind of also want to build something long term. So she has something to hold on to for another, several years. And you can really look at this as, one of the best feuds that Impact has done. But also, if you stretch it out long enough and you have as much back and forth as you can have with her and Mickey James, could be one of the best women's feuds in history. And so,
This
like, you have to. I think that there's so much merit in what you're saying because not just of who she is, but I think also when you think about long term, the back and forth that is very much a potential between them, and in the same. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say there's one thing I just want to really, really add to something you said before I forget is that I don't even look at this as a feud because I feel like this is the best of women's wrestling. When you
Mm-hmm.
got what James is doing and you got what Deanna Prazo stands for, this match can exist anywhere with the powers at hand. So
Yes.
I don't necessarily feel a feud amongst the two of them. I feel like they're just showing the reality of what exists, and they're saying this person versus this person, and the worlds are colliding. So when I think about this match, and when I think about what possibly could be the after the fallout from it, you start thinking unlimited options. You don't
Mm-hmm.
think rematch. You don't think who's next necessarily. At least I
Well,
don't. You start thinking like, well, what exactly is next?
well,
Because
I think yeah, I
the
think that's
ante is
kind of
getting up and up each time.
yeah. Well, I think that in that case, that's the what next is, is that a rematch? Is that another person in the mix? Is that something more interpromotional? And I feel like that's why I feel like this is not going to be the end. It's more of there's a longer thread that ties them together. And that's
Mm-hmm.
what we've seen over the past few months. And so that's why, in some ways, it makes sense to have Mickey James win just so you can continue that thread a little bit longer and that
Yeah.
storytelling. But it also makes absolute sense to Deanna to continue the reign of really, one of the most powerful, successful reigns as a women's champion in all of pro wrestling. And that's really dotting that I and crossing that T by beating one of the best in all of pro wrestling in Mickey James. So to me, it's almost like it makes sense either way. It could go either way. I'd be happy either way because as long as I get more of this, I'm a happy camper. Like, I don't want this to end. I don't want Bound for Glory to be the first and last time. I want to see more. I want it to evolve. I want it to grow. I want it to involve so many different things. And however we get that, I'm good with,
I
whoever's champion, whoever be two. I see merits in both sides.
so again, I feel like from what we're seeing historically happen with Mickey James involved, that there's a lot of now instead of I wish or I hope.
Mhm.
I feel like the gears are turning, everybody's invested, everyone's involved, and she's actually doing things. So a lot of the stuff that we used to say back in the day, like it would be really cool if this happened and maybe this, I feel like it's just only a matter of time before things.
Mhm.
So I'm excited. Let's just get to the nitty gritty of this really quick, very shortly. Who wins this match?
You're making me do it. I can't. Oh my gosh, it's so hard for me. It's so you know what? I'm just gonna, I've done this on the WWE side. It's an ongoing joke that we have. LOL, Charlotte wins. I'm gonna, now bring this into the house of Praso and say, LOL, Diana wins because she's won, and not, not in a joking way or a mocking way, but she wins. She wins everything. She wins all the time. So I mean, like, it's hard to not to argue against it. Like I said, even though I just said I could absolutely see Mickey James winning. I'd be happy with Mickey James winning. It also has been this complete and utter reign with Deanna, and I could there's not a whole lot of doubt in my mind thinking as to her losing this. So Deanna is, I believe, will win and retain.
So much to say here. For me, I love the fact that the Forbidden Door thing is mutually benefiting both parties here. And when I say both parties, yes, both promotions, but also both wrestlers that's in this, and also for all the women's wrestling.
Yes.
For that being said, this match was the match that I thought was going to happen at Slammiversary, and it's still the same effect for me. Is that Mickie James is here to solidify Deonna Purrazzo's reign. This is a huge plaque for her to hang on the wall of saying you beat a legend, and for everything that the feud has been doing, everyone wins here. No one loses.
Nobody
despite
loses.
Who takes the pinfall?
Exactly.
However, I got Deonna winning.
Yeah.
You start talking about what's next here. So one thing about Deonna is that when she lost the first time, wasn't bad. It was like, okay, Su Yung is definitely a formidable opponent. It was unexpected, and she came back and she won on her second title reign. It didn't hurt her when she lost. But have you forgotten something here? Why was Su Yung even in that match?
That was because she was taking the place of someone else who was supposed to be in that match, was Kylie Ray.
That someone else happens to be signed to a promotion that is right here in the same conversation.
Who knows?
Do we have that match coming?
I think it's hard. I think it's a hard sell because of the fact that she.
I think you put your blinders on and you set this for January. Hard to kill. 1 year from when it was supposed to happen. You do the Kylie Ray and Deonna Purrazzo match. And that's the biggest match that Impact wanted to put on. You can ensure that they still want it to happen. I think you have Deonna win and you have her just clean up the rest of this year. But I think that at some point, especially with them keeping their original Impact Plus pay-per-views relevant, whatever happens between that, hard to kill January is when you do Deonna versus Kylie Ray, which means that Deonna has to win. You have to keep her strong. You have to have her keep winning and beating other people who step up, other signings who may come, all of that stuff. But you have her eyes, you have Kylie Ray emerge from the ashes as a phoenix, and you redo this. I think for whatever reason Kylie had to step away, it's her own personal decisions. I think that her working in NWA with Mickie James is unlike anything that should ever be an issue for her going forward. I think when you have that presence of somebody like that in the locker room, such as Mickie James, she's gonna extra take care of it. This is nothing with wrestling. Kylie likes to wrestle. She's good at it. Yes. This is obviously something personal that maybe no one else can relate to. But I can assure for a legend of what Mickie James has been through all over the years, and even recently, that there's going to be one person that can advocate for her, and that should definitely extend her career, which ultimately she signed to NWA. So it has to be something there.
I was going to say, so I think that to me, that's where some of the logic, it's hard for me to buy in because she is signed with NWA and no longer signed with Impact. And that's been a development that happened earlier this year. So in some ways it would be, in order for her to win, there'd have to be some intention to sign back with Impact and vice versa.
No, she doesn't. She just has to win. She doesn't have to be. Krishna isn't signed to them and he's the champion.
Well, I was going to say, but I think some kind of long-term relationship. And so like, again, I don't know what that looks like. So that's why I'm a little weary or just like unsure of what that looks like. Cause you're absolutely right. And I guess what I mean to say is not re-signing, but some kind of, long-term, because even Deonna wasn't originally signed when she won the Knockouts Championship. But I do feel like there has to be something in there that indicates, a longer-term partnership, which we don't really know at this point what that looks like between the NWA and Impact. So so that's why I'm as much as I'd like to see it, and I think storytelling-wise it's great, I'm just so unsure of, logistically how that works out.
Yeah. What's up, man? Yes, I would assume tickets will be sold out
Yeah,
by the time we're done this, and that's,
yeah.
yeah, this needs to happen. Deanna and Kylie needs
Mhm.
to happen. So I feel your reserve because I feel I know the heartburn, but again, I just feel like with Mickey James here,
Yeah.
Mickey James, like here's
She's a
let's talk.
difference maker. She
Yes,
absolutely is the
let's
difference maker in all of it.
let's think about this. The visionary who was signed to WWE, who was released and treated however she was treated, whether she liked it or agreed, whatever it may be. Can't speak for her on that, but she was treated, and the perception of how she was treated was negative amongst fans. And she said she wanted to make change. She said she wanted to do an all women's show. This didn't
She
happen
does.
3 years from now. This
Yeah.
happened the year she said she wanted it to happen. She shows up at Impact. Gail Kim shows up at NWA. The two juggernaut of women's who have seats at big tables are doing things. You
Mm.
don't think that they're not going to continue this relationship? This is not one of those things where Kenny and the boys roll out because they got what they wanted and they're done. This is not that. This is
That's you're right about that. Maybe that's where I'm definitely living in that type of world. I'm living more in that, AEW Forbidden Door,
this. Yeah,
afterburn
it's shenanigans.
than, yes, than what really has been a successful partnership thus far between the NWA and Impact, specifically with the women's division.
Women are changing the culture of pro wrestling, and these are
Yeah.
the changes that we can expect. And that confidence of when they do things is one of those things where it's like, this isn't a one-off. This
Mhm.
isn't a showcase. This isn't
Yeah.
an anomaly.
Well,
This is
and
what we can do and what we plan to do going forward.
And think about storyline wise, if Deanna beats Mickey and does it bad, who can come out and save her? Someone
Who just
that
beat her?
yes, yeah, someone who trusts her, someone who wants to defend her, someone that
Yep.
respects her, and
Yep.
that could absolutely be Kylie Ray, kind of being there to help out and really, be more of that modernized advocate of women's wrestling. And because when you do look at it, the ideal, you do think of Kylie Ray, and you think of someone that embodies what a great champion could be and what a great women's wrestler could be. And someone, when you think about it, Mickey James would say that's someone who should be champion. And there's a whole other deeper storyline that could run with it. So
Yeah.
think about what that could look like at Bound for Glory. Say if she
She comes
beats
out, it's a
Mickey
huge
James.
deal.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a huge deal. And like, I don't even, to be honest, I don't even care about like the whole notoriety of who Kylie Ray is. It's just easy storytelling. This is a match that was supposed to happen. It's easy for that person to show back up and say, you never beat me. You never beat me. And then if she wants to come out for a few weeks and make her peace, hey, I had to step away from this. I wasn't where I wanted to be. Mickey James called me, got me back on track. I owe her this job.
Exactly. Yeah. There's some good storytelling in there. Yeah.
Get it done. That right there cost me sign the match for January in October. Get it done. We'll see you in January. And can you imagine? That alone is gonna sell tickets. So I rest my piece on that. I rest my piece on that one. Let me throw this comment up, then we're gonna roll out of here for you made a great point. The reason Kenny dropped the Impact World Champion on Rampage because Tony Khan didn't want, and that's the thing. That's just the males. That's a whole, as they've been saying. Yeah. That's just the boys being boys. That's shenanigans. Got to get out of here. And then again, this is why I look at what Gail Kim and what Mickey James is doing, and this is like, oh,
yeah, that's a whole other topic for another day, another episode, because you could also say some of the same things about Kenny Omega not losing the AAA Mega Championship when he really, yes, yeah. So I feel like there's just some things within that where they didn't let him lose in ways that I think he should have. Yes. But also real quick, I didn't watch it, but I heard Homicide actually made an appearance on AEW television this week, which I was surprised to hear about. I thought of one of the only people to make it through that door. Homicide was not the one I expected, but But it made sense with that partnership and history with Eddie Kingston. So good on Homicide. I think he's found he's one of those people that history wise you can definitely remember him as a big bad. You don't get to see that as much on Impact anymore because it's a little bit more comedic, a little bit more meta. But Homicide is one of those constants that you definitely you'll look back on history and think, man, that man was a bad man.
So true. Well, let's roll up out of here. This is our weekly Impact Wrestling review where we tackle the hottest topic coming out of Impact Wrestling this week. As we sign out for the day here in Nigeria, Miranda, be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel, whether you're watching us on YouTube or watching us on Twitter Live. That way you can know exactly when we go live. We've been having severe random pop-up, shall I say, in our scheduling, but we definitely want you to be a part of the show. So that's the easiest way to get you to to alert you of when we are live is by subscribing, hit the notification bell, and look out for us on Fridays. That's when we plan on doing it. We want to make sure we can get out our weekly topic coming out of Impact. As we said earlier, Impact Wrestling Bound for Glory tickets are on sale. Definitely get those, and maybe we'll see you there. But until then, stay tuned each and every Friday until we get there. And as always, folks, thank you so much for tuning in. We'll catch you all next week.
Bye-bye.
All I really need